Today we're finishing up our series on the Hermetic principles with a discussion on the principle of gender. In the Kybalion, this principle is described like this: gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes. Let's see where this idea takes us. Matt, what's going on here? Where are you, Matt? Are you prepared for today's discussion?
I'm just having some friends over, if that's okay with you, Mr. Dull and Grumpy. Certainly, I'm ready to delve into this topic that unveils the hidden dance of masculine and feminine energies that orchestrates the symphony of existence.
Good job at getting so many AI-isms into a single sentence. Why don't we begin with an overview of the gender principle, with no more AI cliches, please?
Whatever you say, John. I won't weave any more tapestries for you. In the Hermetic tradition, gender transcends the confines of biology and ties into similar dualistic principles this philosophy promotes. Basically, it highlights the duality inherent in all things by suggesting that every phenomenon, every object, and every concept embodies both masculine and feminine properties. Also, these properties are not static or fixed, but rather dynamic and interactive forces that drive creation, growth, and transformation.
This does seem to have a lot in common with the principles of correspondence and polarity that we discussed in earlier videos in this series. How do these principles differ from the principle of gender?
In essence, the principle of gender considers the internal dynamics and balance of energies within a single entity or phenomenon, while these other two dualistic principles serve to illuminate the external connections and patterns across various scales of existence. For instance, within the principle of gender, the masculine and feminine energies themselves can be seen as a polarity, with varying degrees of expression. The principle of polarity, in turn, helps explain how the balance or imbalance of masculine and feminine energies within an individual can lead to different external outcomes. Likewise, the principle of correspondence can show how that individual's internal dynamics mirror larger patterns in the universe.
Let's next look into how Hermetic philosophy characterizes masculine and feminine energy.
In the Hermetic tradition, gender is not confined to the physical realm. It extends far beyond biology, representing the dynamic interplay of masculine and feminine energies that animate the cosmos. In the tradition, masculine energy is seen as the force that initiates, penetrates, and structures. Feminine energy is characterized by receptivity, intuition, creativity, and inward focus.
Let's look a bit deeper at the masculine and feminine energies as described in Hermeticism, starting with the masculine.
Sure, John. But forgive me if some of this veers towards the mystical side of things or contains some gender stereotypes. They see masculine energy as the driving force behind creation, initiating movement and change by sparking new ideas and projects, setting them in motion. This aspect exhibits a strong sense of purpose and determination, asserting its presence and influence in the world. The masculine energy favors intellect and analysis, relying on reason and objective understanding. It seeks to manifest its ideas and influence in the external world, often through communication, leadership, and tangible accomplishments.
What functions and roles does Hermeticism see the masculine side fulfilling?
In many systems, the masculine principle assumes the role of guarding and supporting others, providing structure and stability. They also see it as an explorer-pioneer role that's driven by curiosity and a desire for new experiences, venturing into the unknown and expanding boundaries. Furthermore, they think that the assertive nature of masculine energy often manifests in positions of authority and decision-making. Lastly, Hermeticists assert that through focus and directed action, this energy brings ideas to fruition and constructs tangible forms in the world.
I see what you mean about stereotypes, Matt. I know Hermeticism is big on symbolic representations. What are some attributed to the masculine side?
I know you are only asking this so that I can generate some pretty pictures for you to use to stretch out the video length. Anyway, some see the sun, with its radiant light and life-giving energy, is a classic symbol of the masculine principle. Along the same lines, fire, with its transformative and purifying power, also represents this active energy. Hand weapons like the sword and spear are often used to symbolize the assertive, outward-directed nature of the masculine principle. One other symbol of the masculine is the sky and mountains, where their vastness and strength reflect the expansive and powerful qualities of this principle.
Thanks for the pretty pictures, Matt. Let's move on to discuss how Hermeticism views feminine energy.
Okay, John. It sees feminine energy as providing a fertile ground for creating, receiving, and nurturing new ideas and potential through embodying compassion, empathy, and unconditional love. Another aspect is intuition, where it can access wisdom from deep within, relying on gut feelings, dreams, and subtle cues, perceiving connections and patterns that logic might overlook. They think that feminine energy is the source of inspiration and artistic expression, weaving dreams and possibilities into reality. Lastly, through inward reflection and contemplation, it seeks understanding through introspection and quiet observation, voyaging into the depths of emotion and the subconscious.
How does this feminine energy fit into functions and roles within the Hermetic framework?
The feminine principle embodies nurturing and healing, care and compassion, fostering growth and providing comfort in times of need. They also view it as the muse and inspirer, with its creative energy igniting the imagination and sparking artistic expression, guiding others to tap into their own potential. This energy is viewed as having deep sensitivity, where this aspect creates a safe space for sharing and emotional connection, fostering understanding and healing. Lastly, through its receptive power, it brings ideas to life, shaping and nurturing them into tangible forms.
Okay, Matt, here's your prompt to show us some Hermetic symbolic representations of feminine energy.
Sure. The moon, with its cyclical phases and connection to tides, represents the feminine principle's ebb and flow, while water, with its fluidity and adaptability, reflects its receptive nature. The chalice and cauldron symbolize the feminine principle's capacity to receive, nurture, and transform. The earth, with its fertile soil and life-giving abundance, embodies the feminine energy. And finally, forests, with their mysterious depths and hidden wisdom, represent its connection to the unseen.
Thanks, Matt. Moving on, I think we need to discuss how, in the Hermetic tradition, gender is understood not as a rigid binary, but as a spectrum of energetic qualities.
Indeed. Hermeticism sees these polarities as not oppositional but complementary, like yin and yang, constantly interacting and interweaving in a dynamic interplay. Creation, according to Hermetic philosophy, arises from the dance of these two forces. The masculine principle initiates, projects, and gives impetus, while the feminine principle receives, nurtures, and gives form. This dynamic interplay can be observed in countless natural phenomena, from the union of sperm and egg to the germination of a seed. Even the creative process itself reflects this duality. An idea, the masculine side, takes shape and manifests in the world via the feminine side.
One thing we touched on earlier was how the Hermetic principle of gender operates on all levels of existence, from the physical to the mental and spiritual.
Yes, in the physical world, we observe gender in the biological distinction between male and female organisms. However, it extends beyond this, manifesting in the interplay of forces like electricity and magnetism, or the active and passive elements within chemical reactions. On the mental plane, the masculine principle is reflected in the active faculties of the mind like will, intellect, and reason, while the feminine principle is seen in the receptive aspects like intuition, imagination, and emotion. At the spiritual level, the masculine principle is associated with the creative force of the universe, while the feminine principle is linked to the universal substance from which all things are formed.
I've also seen it mentioned that within each individual, the masculine and feminine principles also interact.
Quite so. Within every individual, the masculine and feminine principles coexist. Therefore, a harmonious balance between these energies fosters wholeness, creativity, and spiritual evolution. An imbalance, however, can lead to disharmony and stagnation. An overemphasis on masculine energy might manifest as raw aggression, controlling behaviors, or an insatiable drive for that doesn't consider consequences. An excessive reliance on feminine energy might result in passivity, indecision, or an unhealthy dependence on external validation.
So they suggest that one should embrace their inner duality, both aspects of our being?
Exactly. If a person has a healthy balance between their masculine and feminine energies, they will have the ability to unlock their full creative potential and live more fulfilling lives.
I suppose the key, according to Hermeticists, is to recognize and honor both aspects by seeing them not as opposing forces, but as complementary aspects of being. Well, Matt, are there any practical applications in daily life for the principle of gender?
Of course there are, John, and most of them come right out of those self-help books you love so much, the ones that teach personal growth and self-mastery. For instance, individuals who tend toward a dominant masculine energy might benefit from cultivating practices that foster receptivity and intuition, such as meditation, journaling, or spending time in nature. On the other hand, those who lean toward a more feminine energy might explore activities that encourage assertiveness, decision-making, and taking bold action, such as martial arts or public speaking.
It seems that the idea is that by applying the gender concept, one can identify areas where they're weak and seek to develop a balance. Maybe it is a good tool to use to help identify areas where one is lacking in some way, even if there is some mystical and stereotypical baggage with it. Basically, any ideas that can help one look at things in a different way and find balance in life can be helpful. Let us know what you think in the comments, not just on the principle of gender, but Hermeticism as a whole. And subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our next episodes. Given that we're getting into the political season here in the U.S., I'll probably pick some political philosophy topics next.